What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Fusion World video. So this past weekend we had the first large major tournament for Fusion World, which was a North America regional, and we're going to be taking a look at the top 32 decks here, take a look at the meta, see where things are kind of at right now with the new format, the new SB01 format going on here. And this is coming from DBSDeckPlanet.com. I'll leave a link to the website down below if you want to check out these decks more in depth for yourself, but we're going to kind of go through them real quickly and just kind of take a look at the meta as a whole. So to no one's surprise, Kid Buu is absolutely dominating this meta right now. Well, the leader is new, right? The Kid Buu leader came out SB01, but FB04 Majin Buu Evil was already good prior to this, and Buu decks as a whole just got a lot of support with this new manga set. So to nobody's surprise, Yellow is doing very well. So there were a whopping 12 Majin Kid Buu leaders in the top 32 of the tournament, and then there were 6 Red Cell leaders. This is a leader I've been playing. He is a lot of fun to play. And then 2 Android 18, which is very similar to Red Cell, but I'll talk about that a little bit more later. And then we have 2 copies of the Yellow Vegeta, 2 copies of the Green Vegeta, 1 Baby Vegeta, which actually won the whole tournament, 1 Broly BR, 1 Janemba, 1 Majin Buu Evil. This is the FB04 Buu. 1 Green Piccolo, 1 Daima Red Goku, 1 Ultra Instinct Red Goku, and 1 Goku GT. So for the most part, yes, the meta is dominated by Buu, but I still like that there is still a decent variety of decks in here. Like, Buu is obviously very strong, but it's not as bad as Top Coup back in set 2. If you were around back then, that was a tier 0 deck. I would say Buu is like, I don't know, tier 1, not maybe like tier 0.5, but it's not as bad as Top Coup. Like, Buu is definitely beatable, but it is a very, very strong deck. So now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the actual deck lists here. We're going to start off with the first place winner here. So congrats to DBS God for their victory with Baby. Now, I think this actually surprised some people, and I will admit this surprised myself as well. I think if people were going to see a topping black deck, that it was probably going to be Bardock, based on the Eggman tournament that happened last week. That they won the tournament, but I believe that was a smaller one. It was just a digital client, 64 players. Not to take anything away from that Bardock player, but Bardock is kind of just a generically good black leader, right? And Baby is also kind of a generically good black leader, but I think Baby Vegeta in particular is better into the yellow matchup because of his ability on his awakened side. You can also use rest mode battle cards with Brainwashed or Machine Mutant in their special traits in their combos. So I think this leader in particular is better into the yellow matchup just because they like to rest a lot of your cards, right? And if they have the Brainwashed or Machine Mutant tag, you can still use them in a combo, which is very nice. There's really only a couple like archetype cards in here, right? Like you have the Baby Possessed Boy form. You have this Sun Goten GT, which actually sees play in a bunch of black decks. I think it's mainly used to get rid of that 4-cost Buu in the yellow decks because its ability can bounce back a 4 or less back to the owner's hand, and that 4-cost Buu cannot be KO'd. So that's a good card to have. And then you have the Trunks GT as well. So really only like a few archetype specific cards for the Brainwashed Machine Mutant archetype, and the rest is sort of just generically good black cards, right? Like this is actually kind of similar to the Bardock winning list that we saw in the Eggman tournament. Other cards in here, you got Giru, just a good card, 10k combo, KO, a 1 or less. Chi-Chi Childhood, this card is absolutely cracked. This is a 4 of in every every black deck. The fact that it's a self-awakener for 1 energy. It's a 10k combo at minimum, up to a 20k combo using another battle card in a combo from your drop. We got some cantrips. We got Hercule, Goku, Bardock. I would say these are all pretty standard here, honestly. And then 4 copies of the Goku SCR. This is another 4 of in basically every single black deck, except for Shallot. I guess you could run it in Shallot, but I don't think you need to. Great Ape Baby, this card is actually pretty good as well because of the when attacking effect. Well, because the on-play effect as well, you can play a 2 or less from your hand, right? You could play something like the Trunks, the Goten, or this Trunks. But also with the when attacking effect, choose up to 1 battle card with a cost of 3 or less and place it into its owner's combo area. So this is another form of removal that can get around cards that say they can't be KO'd. They can be placed into the combo area, but it is a 3 or less, notably not like a 4 or less, but still good card. Then you have 10 times Kamehameha for some removal, and we have 2 copies of Gogeta. This is also a black staple right now that is particularly good in the yellow matchup. This is a card that's in every black deck, or at least it should be. It has an ability: your opponent's cards can't be switched to active mode by skills, so very good against yellow since they like to restand their cards a lot. And then on play, choose up to 1 battle card in your opponent's battle area, place it into its owner's drop. So right off the bat, this alone, this text is very powerful because, again, it gets around on KO effects because it's not KOing something. It's not even bottom decking, returning back to hand. It just says put it back into the drop. So it's not going to trigger any on KO effects also, which is nice. And then it gives you an energy marker on top of that. So this Gogeta is absolutely cracked. I think 2 is good. I would say 2 to 3 copies of this card is probably the sweet spot, and then 3 copies of this Glorio, just a really good black card. So that is the baby Vegeta deck that won the whole tournament. Again, congrats to DBS God. Very, very cool to see some black deck representation in here, since black is my favorite color in the game, probably alongside with red. So very, very cool. All right, now we got to talk about Majin Buu, right? Kid Buu. There's a bunch of different deck lists here. We're just going to take a look at the second place one from Nick Brady. Congrats, Nick Brady, for placing second here. So this deck, we got this new card from SB01, which is essentially the same as this starter Frieza card, right? It just rests a battle card, but it's also a 10k combo. But this has the Majin tag, and then we have some cantrips. We have the Majin Buu Good. I think this card is pretty good. It's a self-awakener, and then you can essentially stun one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, which is nice as well. And then we have the new Bobbity, of course. This card is an absolute menace. It has barrier, which means you cannot interact with it. Very, very fun keyword. End of your turn, choose up to 1 battle card with Majin or Wicked Soul and its special traits in your battle area. Switch it to active mode, and it gains blocker. So you're restanding a card and giving it blocker, which is pretty nuts. This is mostly going to be paired with the Majin Buu barrier card back from FB03. And then, yeah, just barrier blocker is an insane combination because there's really no way to interact with it, right? So it's really, really annoying. And then when KO'd, you can discard a card from your hand and then put it back into play into rest mode. So very, very annoying combo there. Then you got this Majin Buu Evil. This one's from FB04, been around for a while. Same thing with the Majin Buu Kid. We got 1 copy of the 3-cost Bobbity. And then we have this Majin Buu Evil from SB01. When attacking once per turn, discard 1 card from your hand if your leader has Majin and special traits. Switch this card to active mode. So you do discard a card from hand, but usually you're pretty good on card advantage with this deck since you're forcing your opponent to discard cards with like this Majin Buu Evil as well as this Bobbity. So you're usually pretty good in terms of card advantage, and it has 30k attack and 5k combo power, which is not bad either. And now this is the main card in this deck. Well, not necessarily the main card, but I think this card is absolutely busted. Like, I hate to use that word, like say a card is busted or broken. I think that's really like hyperbole in most cases, but this card is just nuts, man. This card is absolutely dumb. So if you don't know what this card does, it's from SB01, 4 cost, 30k attack, 0k combo power, Majin Buu Kid. Permanent, this card can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills, and then on play and when KO'd, if your leader has Majin and its special traits, draw 1 card, then choose all cards with cost 5 or less in your opponent's energy battle area, switch them to rest mode. So slight correction on this because it was errated. Essentially, what it should say is it rests all of your opponent's energy, and then it rests all battle cards with 5 or less. So this is absolutely nuts, just tapping down all of your opponent's energy, so not really leaving any room for counter extra cards, right? And then resting 5 or less, which, you know, most cards in this game are 5 or less cost, except for like those big boss monsters. And it draws you a card, and it's on play and when KO'd, and it can't be KO'd by opponent's skills. Like, this card is just, I don't know what they were thinking when they printed this card. This card is nuts. I really hate this card, but regardless, it's a 4 of, right, just because it's that good. Then we have 4 of the Son Goku from FB02. This is a staple in pretty much all yellow decks. And then you got a couple copies of the Double Striker, actually 4 copies of the Double Striker, and then you got 3 copies of this Majin Buu Evil from SB01, 5 cost, 15k attack, 10k combo power. Activate main, place this card in a battle area into its owner's drop. Choose up to 1 rest mode battle card with cost 5 or less in your opponent's battle area, place it into its owner's drop. Then play up to 1 Majin Buu Evil with a cost less than or equal to the card chosen by the skill and absorption and its special traits from your hand. So this card is pretty good, right? I mean, the fact that it has 10k combo power, you're not really upset about putting it into your deck. So you can swing with this card, and then you can activate its effect, put it in the drop, put a card in your opponent's area into its drop as long as it's a 5 or less, and then you can cheat out. It has to be Majin Buu and absorption, so you can play out the 4 cost Majin Buu Evil here. You can play out the 3 cost Majin Buu Kid. You can play out this 3 cost Majin Buu Evil. So yeah, this deck is nuts, right? It just has a lot of ways to draw cards. You're discarding cards from your opponent's hand. You're re-standing your characters. You're cheating out multiple bodies a turn. This deck is just, it's absolutely disgusting. So yeah, I think this deck is very, very strong. Obviously, I would probably rank it as the best deck in the format as of right now. I think it does have a little bit of a tougher time into these black decks, right? Such as like Baby and Bardock, which is why, you know, we saw those 2 decks actually win. Well, Bardock winning the Eggman tournament and then Baby winning this regional. So we might see more black decks come up to try and counter these yellow decks. And then in 5th place, we're going to take a look at yellow Vegeta here. This is just sort of like the yellow good stuff leader, right? I think people said this leader was going to fall off once that new 4 cost Buu came out that just rests all your opponent's energy, which Vegeta really relies on restanding energy at the end of his turn. That way he can play his extra cards. But this deck is still good, right? I mean, yellow as a whole is still good. Like, you can still play this Majin Buu from SB01 that rests an opponent's card, and then you get to play the Barrier Bobbity as well in combination with the Barrier Buu. Just absolutely disgusting. You have the 4 cost Stunlock Goku, you have the SCR Frieza, you have the Barrier Frieza, so you got a lot of barrier in this deck. And then you have things like Blue Power Awakening, just providing that flexibility, being able to KO a card or activating it during battle to get plus 25 power. So there is a lot of good things going for this deck. I think this deck, yeah, it might struggle a little bit into that Buu matchup because they have that 4 cost Kid Buu that can just tap down all your energy, but I think this is still a pretty solid deck. Okay, now getting into the 7th place deck, we have the Majin Buu Evil from SB04. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this deck list as it's mostly similar as the other Kid Buu deck list, right? This one's playing Final Explosion. This one is playing this new Majin Buu Kid from SB01. This is the 3-cost one, 25k attack, 0k combo power. It has critical, and then when KO'd, discard 1 card from your hand if your leader has Majin in its special traits. Play up to 1 Majin Buu Kid with a cost of 4 less from your drop in rest mode. So 2 copies, I think that's, pretty decent for a 0k combo card. So 2 copies, it has crit, and then it could play something off of your drop when KO'd, so not bad. Anything else that sticks out here? They got 3 copies of this Majin Buu Pure Evil from SB04. 2 cost, 30k attack, 10k combo power when attacking. At the end of the battle, KO this card. So yeah, this card makes sense, right? I mean, 30k attack for 2 energy is very powerful, and it has a 10k combo on top of that. And then when it's KO'd, it activates your leader effect to restand either your leader or one of your energies. So it makes sense to include this card with this particular leader instead of the SB01 Majin Buu Kid. But yeah, not too much else to talk about here. I mean, it's mostly the same as the other Buu decks. They are running 1 copy of Results of Training, which is just a good card, right? I kind of compare everything to Gallic Gun in blue since I played this game when it first came out. So everything to me is just a different version of Gallic Gun, right? To me, this is yellow's version of Gallic Gun. Just activate battle plus 15k, and then X condition, right, you draw a card. And in this case, in Results of Training condition, if there's a rest mode battle card with cost 3 or more in the battle area, draw a card. So not a bad card to include as a one-of in your deck here. All right, and then for 8th place, we got Cell. Finally taking a look at a Cell deck list here from Sensei. So Cell is a new leader from SB01, and if you don't know what he does, essentially on his front side, he's a pretty basic leader, 15k attack, draw when attacking, but on his backside, 20k power, and then when attacking, if a battle card with Android and its special traits is removed from your battle area by a skill during this turn, draw 1 card, then this card gets plus 20k power for the battle. So essentially, it's a pretty long-winded way of saying you remove an Android card from your battle area during your turn, you essentially draw a card on attack, and you get to be a 40k swing. So taking a look at the deck here, we got 4 copies of this Android 16. This card is absolutely nuts. I think this card is like a 4 of in every red deck, basically, like not even just Android leaders. This card is so good, right? 3 cost, 20k attack, 10k combo power. When KO, choose up to 1 battle card your opponent's battle area, and it gets minus 20k power for the turn. And then activate main, KO this card, and draw 1 card. So this card is really good, like I said, in any red deck, but it's very good in Cell specifically because you swing with this card, and then you activate its effect to KO himself. And this does fulfill your leader ability, making you a 40k leader for that turn, and then you get to draw a card while also doing minus 20 to one of your opponent's battle cards. So an all-around very, very good card. We got 4 of the Android 18 cantrips. We got 3 of the Dr. Flap, which essentially just gets back a 3 or less Android card as long as your leader is awakened. And this paired with the Android 16 is very powerful because this is a 3-cost card. So you can use this, KO it, activate its effect, and then just grab it right back with Dr. Flappy, which is pretty nuts. 1 copy of the starter deck. Starter deck 1 Son Goku Double Striker, nothing too crazy there. Then we have the Super Combo. We have 3 copies of this Android 16 from SB01. This card, I will say, I'm not a huge fan of this one personally, but I can see the appeal in playing it. It's just me personally, I don't really like it. But if you don't know what this card does, it's a 2-cost, 20k attack, 5k combo power. Activate main, place this card in a battle area in its owner's drop. If your leader is an Android only card, play up to one Android 17 or Android 18 with a cost of 2 or less from your drop in rest mode. So you play this, you swing with it, you activate its effect to put it into the drop, and then you can play one of your cheaper 18 or 17 cards off of this, and then it does activate your cell leader effect. So I know this card is a very good card. It's just, for me personally, I don't know, the way I play, I don't like. I don't like it. I don't know how to explain it, except it just doesn't mesh with my playstyle. We have 3 copies of Android 17 from SB01, 2 cost, 15k attack, 10k combo power. Discard 1 battle card with Android and its special traits from your hand. If your leader is an Android only card, which cell is, draw 2 cards. So this is just a really good all-around card. Again, right, you can play this off the Android 16 activate main effect. It's a 10k counter. It's an Android tag card. You're putting a card in your drop, which is actually good for your 5 cost cell, which can grab an Android card from your drop, and then you're drawing 2 cards. This deck cell just draws so many cards too. It's really nuts. And we got 4 copies of this Android 18 from SB01. This is a 4 of in every cell deck. Basically, it's just a top 3 searcher that gets you an Android card while also giving -5 to something on your opponent's board. But this is going to be like one of the main cards you're looking for because you want to combo this with the 4 cost cell to put it into the drop to cheat out the 5 cost cell. And the fact that it has 0 combo power does suck, but it also, like, it doesn't really matter because we're just, you know, putting this in our drop anyway, so we don't really care. 3 copies of Android 18. This is the blocker one from SB01, 20k attack, 5k combo power blocker, and then it's a self-awakener as well. So all around good card. You know, it's never bad to have a blocker or a self-awakener in your deck, and this just does both. And it can be played off of the 5 cost cells when KO'd effect. This is actually really good to play off the win at KO effect, because if your opponent is trying to go for a game and they're getting your health down very, very low, and maybe they start to swing into your board instead, they swing into this cell, you can just pull out a blocker from drop, which is very nice. And it comes in active mode, right? Meaning you can block with this. Then they are on 4 copies of Self-Destruct, another card from SB01. This card is also just insanely good for 1 energy. Activate main, KO 1 battle card with Android and its special traits in your battle area. If your leader's an Android only card, draw a card. Then choose up to 1 battle card with 30k power or less in your opponent's battle area and KO it. This card is absolutely nuts for only 1 energy. Like, yes, you're KOing a card on your side of the board, but again, you don't really care because that's just kind of how your cards work anyways. Like, if you KO this Android 18, it has 0 combo power. Like, you don't really care. You could KO the cantrip, you could KO this Android 17, you know, whatever it is, and then you're drawing a card on top of that and then KOing at 30k or less. And then not to mention that you can combine this with other minus effects, so you can really use this to KO cards that are like 40k power or more, right? So this card, really, really good. I've seen most people run this at 3. I think 4 is fine as well. I would say 3 or 4 is good for this card. And now we're getting sort of into like the main bread and butter of this deck, the cell chain as people call it. We got the 4 cost cell. This is the one that has on play, gives -10k to one of your opponent's battle card, and then you place one of your Android 18 and this card in its drop, you draw a card, and then you play the 5 cost cell, which has the 30k attack power, and then on play it gets a 4 or less Android from your drop back to your hand. And then again, like when I mentioned before, when KO'd, you can play up an Android 18 from your drop with a cost of 2 or less. And the fact that these cards like both have 10k counter is absurd as well. Like, these cards are just so good together, right? And then we have 4 copies of the SR cell. I've seen people be a little bit more split on this card. Like, this is a good card, but the fact that it has 0 combo power makes me a little bit hesitant to put this as a 4 of in my deck personally. This person ran it at 4, and I mean, it seemed to work for them, but personally I would run this like at a 2 or 3 of, But anyways, it's still a good card, and if you don't know what it does, it has a 35k attack. When attacking, choose up to one battle card with 10k power less in your opponent's battle area and KO it, and then activate main once per turn. Place one card with Android and its special traits from your battle area into its owner's drop. Choose up to two battle cards in your opponent's battle area, and they get minus 20k power for the turn. So this is an effect that you can activate every turn. Technically, two abilities that you can activate every turn, right? So once this guy is on the field, this is something that your opponent pretty much has to answer. If not, you're going to get so much value out of this guy. Very, very good card. Again, me personally, I would run it like 2 or 3 of, not 4, but I think you can get away with 4 if you really wanted to as well. And also to mention, this deck is actually 53 cards instead of the standard 50, but I actually don't hate to see that a lot of these Cell decks and even Android 18 decks are going above 50 cards, just because this deck just draws so many cards, man. Just because so many cards in here just have the ability to draw cards, right? Next up in this deck, we got 2 copies of the Tournament of Power Vegeta. This is back from FB03, a bit of a blast from the past. I actually don't see this guy played very often anymore, but I know he was very popular back in the day. 3 cost, 20k attack, 5k combo power. When attacking, discard 2 cards from your hand. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, this card can't be KO'd. It gets plus 30k power. Activate main once per turn. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with 25k power less, KO it, then KO this card. So I know this card is very good. I'm not a fan of it personally, but I think if you want to run this as 1 or 2 of, I think that's fine. It has 5k combo power, so you don't, you're not really losing out on a whole bunch of combo power by running this. And like I said, you do draw a lot of cards with this deck, so you usually have a lot of cards in your hand, so discarding 2 is usually not that bad actually, and it is a 50k swing, and then you can KO a 25k or less. Then moving on, we got 4 copies of the Cell Jr. from SB01. This has 15k attack, 10k combo power. If your leader's an Android only card and you have a Cell with an original power of 30k or more in your battle area, you can use this card from your hand without paying its cost. So as long as you have either of these 5 cost Cells on the board, this Cell Jr. card can be played for free, which is pretty nuts because it does have an on-play effect to give minus 5k power to one of your opponent's cards. And you can just dump your hand, right, with these guys, give minus 5k, minus 5k. You can grab them back with the Dr. Flappy, right, which is really nice as well. You can grab them back with this 5 cost Cell. And the fact that it has 15k attack power means that you can use this as sort of an extra attacker, right? If your opponent's already awakened, you are going to need to add some combo power to this, but it's not that hard to do, again, with this deck, just because we have so many cards. But yeah, just having an extra surprise attacker at the end of the turn can be really good. Your opponent can be like, oh, they don't have any more energy available. They used all of their swings, so I'm safe. But then you play this guy for free and then just get like an extra swing, and you could potentially go for a game that way. Very, very good card, and it has just 10k combo power. Like, it's so good. And then 2 copies of this Android 1718 from FB06. This is just the one that gives all of your opponent's battle cards minus 10k power for the turn. So very good card for just decks that like to go wide, maybe such as like Giblet or the green Vegeta, just like to spit out a lot of bodies on the board. Unfortunate, it does not work on barrier cards though, right? And I would say barrier cards in general are kind of a struggle for this deck. It's definitely not unwinnable for Cell, but I think I would probably still consider Boo like slightly favored into this matchup, just because we have a lot of cards that like to interact with our opponent's cards by giving them minus power. But with the barrier cards, we just can't interact with them, literally. So definitely not an unwinnable matchup, but still I would say slightly unfavored for the Cell player. But overall, a very, very good deck, and a very fun deck to play as well, in my opinion. Now moving on to 12th place, this was actually a surprise for me to see the Super Saiyan Daima Goku in here from the One Anti-Hero. Congrats to them on their placement. I know this leader is kind of just like a generically good red leader, right? Very aggressive. But the fact that I see it here in the top 16 is very, very cool. I haven't really tested this leader a whole lot myself, but this is something I do want to try out just because I really like playing red decks. I think they are a lot of fun and pretty straightforward to play, right? So this deck, I'm not going to go too much into depth into it just because it just sort of runs just good red Daima cards, right? That's really just kind of all it is, just very aggressive cards. You got your cantrips here. You have It's Over, which can KO all of your opponent's battle cards with 25k or less. One card that is surprising to me is Awakening to Super Saiyan. This is a promo card from like when the game first came out. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, gets minus 15k power for the turn. Then if your leader's awakened, the chosen card gets minus 10k power for the turn. So essentially, as long as you're awakened, it's a 2-cost minus 25k. So it's actually kind of similar to the It's Over, except it's just on a single target rather than clearing the whole board, right? And it's a minus power instead of a KO. So it's still a good card, but it's kind of weird. I never saw this card see any play. So to see it see some play here is really cool. You got Searchers, Cantrips, you got Margarita, which is I would consider like a red staple. Maybe not anymore, but back in the day definitely was a red staple. Then you just have some of the good Goku mini Daima cards. And then we have my boy Hit. This was a red staple back in the day, all the way from the first set, man. It's a self-awakener when attacking, and then gives one of your opponent's battle cards minus 5k power. Those were the simple days back then in set 1 of Fusion World, man. This was a really good card, and it still is a good card. Again, we got Android 16 here, only running 3 copies instead of 4. Me personally, this is a 4 of in just every red deck. I don't know if maybe they just didn't have 4 copies, maybe because this card has shot up in price recently. So maybe they just don't have 4. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. We do have this new Shin from SB06 that is a self-awakener, and then it can cheat out a 2 or less with Daima in its name, which we do run a lot of 2 or less Daima cards. So very, very aggressive. And then you have the Glorio here, which is arguably the best card in the deck. 4 cost, 25k attack, 0k combo power. On play, if your leader's awakened, your opponent's leader gets minus 5k power for the turn. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is the only card in the game that can give minus power to a leader. At least off the top of my head, it's the only one that can. So this is similar to like Karasu in One Piece. If you played One Piece before, being able to give your opponent's leader minus power is very powerful. And that's not all. When attacking once per turn, if your leader has Daima or DA in its card name, switches card to active mode. And then of course you pair this up with your leader ability, buffing this Glorio by 10k for the turn, not just for the battle, but for the turn. So you swing 35k, restand, swing another 35k. So a very, very good card here. And yeah, this is a really cool deck. I actually want to give this deck a try myself. I just need I just need these cards on the client, man. It's a struggle to get some of these cards on the client here. Now we're going to jump to the 14th placement, and we have Android 18. So again, with this list, it's very, very similar to Cell decks. I have been playing a lot of Cell and Android 18 myself lately, and I kind of go back and forth between which one I prefer. The one thing I will say is there's really 2 reasons that you would play Android 18, the leader, over the Cell leader. And I don't see either of those reasons in this deck list. I'll throw them up on the screen. So the first one is the Bleak Future Field, right? Essentially what that card does is it allows you to attack active battle characters. So essentially what that card does allows your battle cards to attack your opponent's active battle cards. And as of right now, that is really like the only way to deal with barrier. It's not quite like a direct counter to barrier, but I mean, you can slam down a battle card, right? Like, let's say you do the cell chain 4-cost cell into 5-cost cell. Now you got a 30k body on the board. You can swing into their 5k Bobbity barrier card, right? And they probably just take that because 30 to 5, like they would have to give you 30k counter in hand. They would have to give you a super combo plus a 10k. So yeah, I'm really surprised that they're not running the field card. I mean, not that it has to be like a 4 of, I would say like 2 to 3, like at least 1. I'm flabbergasted. I'm trying to find the word to use. Like at this point, me personally, I would prefer to just play Cell if you're not going to be running the Bleak Future Field, because I get it. It can be slow. It does cost 3, so you're kind of losing out on tempo there, because on 3 you want to be doing things like playing the Android 16, or maybe you play one of your searchers plus like a Self Awakener or this Android 17 that draws you cards. So it's baffling to me that they're not playing the Bleak Future card, but they still did very well, so I'm not taking anything away from them. 14th place, congrats to them. And the second reason that you would have to play Android 18 over the Cell, in my opinion, would be the fused Android card. I forget what his name is specifically, but essentially it's the one that's like a 50k attack on play, and then when you KO a card, it restands himself. So that, in combination with the leader ability being able to give him a plus 20k, and in combination with the Bleak Future card as well, right? Playing that Android card, essentially just clearing the board by just swinging into all of their units. Pretty nuts. But that card, I feel like that card is a bit more optional than the Bleak Future. I feel like if you're playing Android 18, you definitely want to be playing Bleak Future. The fused Android, I'm like, okay, if you don't want to play it, like that's fine. But like a 1 of, I think would be good in this deck, right? And this deck is running 54 cards as well. So that's even more baffling to me. Is like, hold up, why is this deck? This deck is 54 cards. We're not running Bleak Future. We're not running the fused Android. Like, I don't know. I think I would just want to take out this cantrip Piccolo here. This seems to be the 4 extra cards in this deck. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that is. I guess maybe they were afraid of decking out just because this deck just draws so many cards. But yeah, I mean, if it was me personally, like I would take out these Piccolo cantrips and I would find some way to squeeze Bleak Future and maybe the fused Android in here. But I mean, the rest of the deck looks pretty solid, right? I mean, that's really the only sort of thing I have, sort of disagreement I have with the deck list here. But other than that, I think Android 18 is still pretty good. I want to say, I think like Android 18, being able to run Bleak Future makes it a little bit more favored into yellow than the Cell leader. But I think Cell is just in general like better into the other matchups, if that makes sense. So I think like if you just want like an all-around good leader, I think play Cell. But I think if you're like really trying to hard counter the yellow matchup, then I think Android 18 plus Bleak Future might actually be the way to go. But you guys let me know what you think. All right, so that is it for the top 16. Again, I'm not going to go through every single Boo and Cell deck, just because there are multiple placements here. But now moving into the top 32, we do have some spicy deck lists here. We do have in 18th place, we have Green Vegeta, which got a lot of support from SB01 with cards like this Raditz card, right? And then we got this Vegeta from SB01. So it's a very aggressive deck that just likes to cheat out multiple bodies per turn. And yeah, I'm actually not going to go too depth into this one just because, to be honest with you guys, I don't play green a whole lot, so I can't speak personally onto like the depth of this deck as I haven't really played it myself. But I do know that it is a very fast and aggressive deck. And yeah, congrats to Broken TCG for their 18th placement. Then moving on to the 21st placement, we got a UI Goku, which is actually kind of surprising to me. I don't see a whole lot of people play this guy. I think he's a really cool leader. I would actually play him myself. It's just these SCR Gokus are so expensive in real life, and the client too, right? I don't think I have any of these guys in the client, maybe like one in the client, and I don't think I have any in person. This card is like about 25 bucks in person, so like a full play set of 4 is like 100 bucks. But yeah, this is just sort of like a good stuff red, right? It's really just all it is. Like, you got the Android 16, you got the Tournament Power Vegeta, you got the Gohan here. Surprisingly, I will say there's no Kefla. No Kefla. That is actually really surprising to me. I don't know if that was intentional or not, because you can play the Vegeta off the Kefla, you can play this Gohan off of the Kefla, you can play the Piccolo cantrip off the Kefla. So really weird to me that there's not a Kefla in the deck list. But other than that, I mean, yeah, this is just kind of just generic good red cards, right? Which I don't have a problem with at all. I think good generic red is actually really fun in this game. It brings me back to set 1 starter Goku. They are playing this Tamagami number 3 card, which can be a nuisance. It's a blocker that has a permanent effect, can't be KO'd once per turn, so can be very annoying to get around it if you don't have a way to cleanly deal with it. Can be difficult for some decks to get rid of. But yeah, very cool to see this leader get some top representation in the top 32 here. Then in 22nd place, we have a Janemba. So we do have some more yellow representation here, although it is not Majin Buu, but rather Janemba. Again, not going to talk too much about this deck here. It's more just kind of good yellow stuff. I would say, I guess the only thing that's worth kind of pointing out here is this Dabura card from SB01, 4 costs, 30k attack, 5k combo power. If your leader has a Bobbity in its card name, or if you have a card with Bobbity in its card name in your battle area, reduce the cost of this card in your hand by 2. So it's essentially a 2 cost 30k attacker, which is very powerful. Now, of course, we don't have Bobbity in our leader name, but we do run the Barrier Bobbity. So you can play Bobbity turn 2, play Dabura turn 3. So very powerful combo there, and congrats to James on their 22nd placement there. And then moving on to 24th place, we're going to look at Piccolo. Piccolo is actually a really cool deck. I don't like playing against it, but I did try playing it in the client a couple times. It's actually, it's very fun. Again, I'm not really a green player personally, so I was not able to pilot this deck very well. Also, I don't have all the cards I need in the client, but this card is still, it's a really cool deck. It's a very unique deck, just revolving around ramping up energy and then swinging for 50k power using the special beam cannon, and then if it lands, you restand the Piccolo, attack for 50k again in the same turn, which is pretty nuts. This deck is just one of those decks that can be very powerful if you find all of your combo pieces. Most importantly is this new card from SB01, the strongest team up for 6 energy. Activate main if your leader's Piccolo. Add the top card of your deck to your energy in rest mode, then play up to 1 Son Goku and up to 1 Piccolo, both with a cost of 6 from your hand. So being able to play out the strongest team up into the 6 cost Goku, into the 6 cost Piccolo, into special beam cannon. As long as you get like all those cards like lined up, this deck absolutely cooks. But it is a little dependent on its combo pieces, right? You do have this Son Gohan though from FB06 that can help you look for those pieces. It has an on play look at 10 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 2 green cards with cost 6, add them to your hand. So you can grab strongest team up, Goku or Piccolo from this Gohan. Plus it has 30k attack and 10k combo power. So yeah, very good if you can find your pieces. Of course, you have the Broly double striker to close things off. You also have the Goku SCR double striker as well. Then you do have the Days of Training, which allows you to either ramp a energy or Activate battle for plus 40k power for 3 energy. And since you're ramping so much, it's not, you know, not unheard of for you to sit on like 3 energy. So you can use this for counter power as well. And then you have the unlock ability to where if you go down to 1 life, you can heal 2, go back to 3, which is very, very annoying to play against. I've had this happen to me so many times. And then this Piccolo heals you as well when KO'd. So I've seen it where Piccolo players get all the way down to like 1 health, and then like a few turns later they're back to like 6 health while they're awakened. It can be pretty nuts. But yeah, very, very cool deck. Actually hope we get another sort of Piccolo leader, because I think Piccolo's a pretty cool character. But I just, again, I'm just not really a green player personally. But shout out to this player for their 24th placement. All right, and then in 27th place, we got another green deck with Broly BR. This deck, I mean, it's Broly. All you're really doing is just you're cheating out your big Brolys by removing your cheaper Brolys, right? I mean, there's not much to say about this deck. It's just a good deck. It's not the worst deck in the meta. It's not the best deck in the meta. Like, this is just a good, solid, reliable deck. So shout out to all the Broly players out there. You guys did get some representation here from King Bandit. 27th place. Congrats to King Bandit. And then lastly, sneaking into the top 32, we have a Super Saiyan 4 GT Goku. So again, this one is sort of playing that generic black package, right? We got some similar cards here. We got the Gogeta, you got the Chi-Chi Childhood, the Hercule, Grade 8 Baby, Goku SCR. Yeah, a lot of these cards are very similar. We got a couple copies of Ultimate Sparking, which I'm a big fan of that card. You got the Para Brothers, which can lock it down a card. You have the Pan, which is a good Self-Awakener and can also bounce back a 4 less, really good with dealing that 4 cost Majin Buu that can't be KO'd in yellow decks. So yeah, just another sort of good generic black deck, right? I think it's just sort of like take your pick as to which leader you want to play for black, right? Like generic black good cards. Do you want to play Super Saiyan 4 Goku? Do you want to play Baby? Do you want to play Bardock? There is Shallot as well, of course, which I'm a big fan of Shallot. I've played him a lot and I've had a lot of fun with him, but I think unfortunately Shallot is probably not as good as these sort of like generic black good stuff decks here. So Shallot is decent, but no top 32 placements, which is a bit unfortunate. And that's it. Yeah, some other things I just wanted to point out real quick is that there was no blue representation in the top 32 deck list here. I will say I think Kid Ku, the Kid Goku deck, is a good deck. I think it just takes, you know, definitely a skilled pilot to a topping finish. So I am a bit surprised that we did not see a Kid Ku top in this regional. There was some decent representation for it, but none in the top 32. Other blue leaders, you know, I think, yeah, they kind of fell off with the peel-off ban, unfortunately. If you like blue, hopefully I would want to see Trunks make a comeback just because I really like playing Trunks. But no Daima Vegeta, which I think makes sense because he's really good at removing one body at a time. But in a format right now where there's, you know, characters cheating out multiple characters, I think the Daima Vegeta is just a little bit too slow as of right now. But I think the Kid Ku definitely has some legs to it. We just need the right pilot for it. And no Giblet. I will say no Giblet kind of surprised me because that's another one that is kind of similar to Green Vegeta. Similar to Green Vegeta in the sense that it's a very just aggressive deck, right? And similar to Broly in the sense that it's just a good deck, right? It's not the best deck. It's not the worst deck. It's just a good, solid, sort of like safe pick, right? So I'm kind of surprised that there was no Giblet here either. And then, like I was saying, no Shallot, but that's not too surprising. As someone, you know, that hurts to say because I do love playing Shallot and I think he's very fun. But yeah, I don't think he's as good as such as like just a generic black deck like this Goku or this Baby. or Bardock, right? All right, and that is it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, shout out to DBS Deck Plant for providing these deck lists so we can look at them and talk about them and whatnot. Let me know what you guys think about this video, if you liked my breakdown or not. Let me know what other kind of videos you would like to see from me in the future for Dragon Ball Super Fusion World. If you want to see more meta breakdowns, or maybe like a tier list video, something like that, or do you want to see more gameplay videos, whether that be like online in the digital client, or do you want to see some actual like local gameplays? That could probably be fun to do as well. So let me know what you guys think about this video. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.